Well, I know probably most people who are watching this are thinking to themselves, well, this gentleman, he popped out for a tattoo while his woman was pregnant or she had given birth. How dare he? And I wouldn't be remiss to disagree with those particular sentiments. It is understandable that in the midst of situation, yes, him popping out at that point in time may have been a very inconvenient time. He says, obviously, he popped out while she was asleep, and that is the issue. But I think we have to go a little bit deeper than that. Why do I say that? Because I don't think the tattoo is the issue. I'm going to be honest with you. The tattoo is not the issue. I think the issue here has got nothing to do with a tattoo and him going to get a tattoo. The issues that they have existed well before the tattoo took place. The tattoo is simply just another notch that is causing greater further issues of a disconnect in their relationship. Okay, so him going out to get a tattoo, and she said she felt unsupported in that moment. Why would she feel unsupported if she was asleep? No, why would she feel unsupported while she was asleep? If you're asleep, what more do you want them to do? Right? You're asleep. So what's really the issue here? Because if you've been awake and he went in, if you had been asleep and he stays there, what difference would it make if he stays there and if he goes to get a tattoo? Well, I think the key thing here is that there are issues within this relationship before it got to this point. There are issues that happened before it got to here, right? And that tattoo of him disappearing in that moment further exasperated what was already a problem in their relationship. She felt like that he wasn't as supportive in that scenario, but I think there's something more here. I think she recognized that. I think she recognized there's an emotional disconnect between the two of them, right? I think it's deeper. When she's giving an answer, I feel like this issue of the tattoo, you're making it a big deal, but there's something beyond that. There's something beyond that. You look at when a couple or when someone says something's an issue and you look at the scenario. Okay, he went for a tattoo. So why are we blowing up? There's something else happening. What else has happened in the past? And you can tell the emotional disconnect between the two is that they don't trust each other. Okay, all right. And any behavior that deviates from loving or caring, is something that's going to create further disconnect between the two of them. There was already a disconnect. That's the issue. The tattoo is not the issue. If it was a one-time thing where he went and got a tattoo, should have been angry about it, but have moved on. The issue isn't the tattoo. The issue is there are other behaviors that she probably has or hasn't spoken up about him being unsupportive. This is just a further exasperation of him being unsupportive. That's why I said the tattoo isn't as important. The tattoo is only one of probably several behaviors that she feels that he doesn't support her emotionally in, whether it's after birth or pre-birth. We don't know, right? All we know is that particular situation, the tattoo itself, sis is frustrated and hurt by that, and it's not just a tattoo. It's because there's not enough support emotionally. So there needs to be a greater and deeper conversation around this area of what does emotional support look like. Okay, so I think let's put that little clip there to show you that I think there is also some aspects of dismissiveness that tends to happen in the relationship as well. I think this that he has a tendency to dismiss her emotions. This further plays another role in the you're not supportive, right? Because it's an emotional thing. So him being in a space where he doesn't consider her feelings, maybe doesn't validate her feelings. This is further creating a divide between the two of them, but it means that she's now more sensitive to any behavior that disconnects them, any behavior that seems like he's quote unquote hurting her or quote unquote he is being disrespectful. Any of those kind of things will cause a greater sensitivity around the area, and her reaction will be far more harsher in the aspect, right? And I love this comment too, because I think it's a very good comment. It says probably his lack of excitement in the moment, lack of support, her knowing he didn't really want any of it happening at a time. That's tough when you're super hormonal and vulnerable. Absolutely. That would definitely play a role in it as well. In essence, he rejected her by his reaction or whatever his thought process was, right? He didn't want the child. She knew he didn't want the child. So any behavior that shows any kind of dissent she's really hot on it. She's like, hey, you know, so the tattoo is compounding the interest of the feelings and the pain that she feels. And I think he has to look at that and look at how, if you want to sustain a relationship, how do I validate her more? And how do I create a safe space for her to exist in so that she doesn't feel like we are at war and we are at odds, right? You know, he's gonna have to figure that part out, in essence. And there was another part as well.
Just trying to do my own thing, yeah. And I just feel like she didn't want me to do that.
So you think that I decided to have our daughter to keep you here?
No.
Because if that's the case, you can S out right now.
That's not what...
Yeah. So I think the response of her saying, you know, if you think that I just had a kid just to keep you here, if that's the case, you can just get gone. I'm telling you, she didn't mean not one of that word. She did not mean not one iota of that word, that you can be gone. What she was trying to do is get ahead of the devil. Okay, she was trying to get ahead of the rejection that she may feel. Remember, he already didn't want the child necessarily, and then now he may be saying that, you know what, he may, quote unquote, what she might be hearing is he doesn't want the child now. Almost, that's what she almost kind of hears, and it's like, you're doing this to keep me trapped. She's like, well, okay, that's the case. Let me get out of it quickly before you say anything, right? And usually we do those quick reactions because we're already sensitive in this area and we're afraid, so we have to get ahead of the person so that they can't embarrass or shame us or make us feel powerless in a scenario. So we get ahead of them. Like, if you don't want me, I don't want you. If you don't want me, and you're out and you're good. But the reality is, it's because you're afraid also of hearing something that may touch those wounds that you have already, right? So I understood where she was coming from. I understood what she was getting at. I think there are some also issues around their actual relation and the way they communicate, okay? I feel like there are some skills that she may have to learn as well as him. I think for him personally, what he needs to learn is he needs to be able to validate her emotions and and facts don't trump feelings. I'm here to tell you this now. If you're somebody who says facts over feelings, I'm here to tell you it's not true. Feelings have to always be validated. It doesn't mean it's the truth of everybody's world. Somebody's feelings are the truth for their world, doesn't mean it's the truth for everybody else. Okay? All right. So when someone tells you how they feel, you're going to need to be able to validate, which means I can understand where you're coming from. I can understand how you feel. Okay. All right. And that's what you end up doing in that particular aspect. Okay. Someone said, if he didn't want the baby, he should have protected himself. Yeah, I hear that. But the reality of the situation, that doesn't change how somebody feels. And actually, that's what's going to come on to my next point. This conversation, if you really want to have a really honest conversation, and this is why I'm going to give a male perspective on this scenario. If we're talking about validating feelings, which I agree, the therapist was right about saying he should validate her feelings, then we have to validate the man's feelings too. You cannot do a session and validate only the woman's position and not validate the man's position, no matter how painful it may sound like. When someone tells you how they feel, we have to validate how they feel. Whether you and I agree makes no difference. It's how they feel, right? The same way that he has to validate how she feels, irrespective of whether he agrees with it or not, he has to be able to validate her feelings. She must do the same. So this is... So I highlight that point because it happened one or two times where he was sharing how he felt and she actually cut across him. And I said that the therapist should have jumped in and said, hey, you've got to understand where Jay is coming from. If we're going to have an honest conversation for both of them going forward, you have to validate both feelings, right? So we can validate that she needs support and that she needs to feel like she's being loved correctly, and that he should be present, not just for the moment, but emotionally should be present as well. And if that's the case, that's fine. Then we also need to validate what he also felt, because he told her about feeling like he was being trapped. And I think
it's not like you forced me, but your actions and how you went about things, it felt like I was put in a box.
Hold on. Why do you think she did that? Hurt?
Yeah, she was hurt.
Rejected?
Probably.
Scared?
Maybe.
In the moment that the therapist did that, she invalidated his feelings. Why are you asking why did she do that? It's irrelevant. He's talking about how he feels in that moment. And this is, and I saw it and I was like, why did she do that? I was like, You saying how she feels, why she did what she did is irrelevant. If he's now sharing how he felt, he wasn't actually even putting blame. He was actually saying, this is how I feel. And we ask for men to open up. And when they open up, we're invalidating the feeling. Just because we said something back or we even, ask a question doesn't mean we're not invalidating someone's feelings. In that moment, she just needed to keep quiet. I don't know why the therapist decided to open her mouth. She just kept quiet and let him finish his point. When he finishes, then we ask Daisy, what did you hear him just say? The same way we're asking him to do the exact same thing for her. Whether we agree with him feeling trapped or not is irrelevant. Our truth of it, whether it's right or wrong, whether I think he's wrong for this, makes no difference. He's got to be able to share without the judgment being placed on him when he shares. You've got to let him have that. Otherwise, this will always feel like he's going to be resentful secretly. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh man, okay, I can see now how this might turn out. Also, with Jay and Daisy, if they are going to make it work, she has to let him finish points, and she has to stop cutting across him. She's going to have to let him speak. Otherwise, now you're in a situation where I didn't know that. And then you don't know what they're actually thinking or feeling. And it's because we've not given them time to speak.
Losing them is scary. I don't want that to happen. But every single time when there's a major decision that you don't like, you don't seem to ever be open to speaking about it. And for me, that's not nice because...
So this is where I felt like the thing is edited. So where the therapist can make a good work here for both of them is she's made points about him being emotionally present. She has to highlight that for Jay, make sure he understands that Jay understands your partner. She's now a mother. She's looking after the kids. She needs your emotional backing. She needs you to be emotionally present for her, meaning be open, be available, have conversations, listen. Don't jump to conclusions too quickly. These are you being open and available. And in the same measure that when you are dealing with this scenario, she has to also stop cutting across you, stop interrupting, allow you to finish your thought, actually pay attention to what you're saying and listen, so that you can both be safe in this scenario, in this relationship, because both of them are true liars. Yeah, they're both liars, right? That's what we found out in episode 2. They're both liars, right? Now, of course, he was talking to a girl whilst they were on a break. This break thing, I told you about this break thing, it's nonsense. He was talking to a girl while I was on a break and ended up kissing her. She was also texting some man, and we're not really sure about the timeline because the timeline seems a bit convoluted, whether she was in a relationship or not. But let's say she was out of a relationship. So these two are both liars. They both feel they're very scared to be vulnerable because they're afraid of the other person taking advantage of them. Well, if you're always in a situation where you're afraid of someone taking advantage of you, guess what kind of game you play? A very defensive one. You're always thinking about how not to be exposed. And whenever you're in a place of, I'm not going to get exposed, it's hard to have a relationship with somebody like that. And that's both of them. So until both of them recognize and realize that, hey, we're not playing this game where we're trying to best or beat the other person, get a one-up, this relationship will keep going the way it's going. And actually, you'll end up being toxic. You know what I'm saying to you? Yeah? All right, cool. Couple number 2, let's deal with them, right? Mike and Yasmin. Man, this one is it's a tough one, this one, Mike and Yasmin.
That inner child that was exposed to the lack of money wanted more and more things, even if I couldn't afford them. There was a lot of expectations and a lot of pressure on becoming something or someone. I just thought, you know what?
About Mike and Yasmin, let me just say this first and foremost. With Mike and Yasmin, the problem that they have is Mike is a big spender. But the bigger issue is this. You can't solve this with Mike and Yasmin because it's really and truly, this requires Mike to be in solo counseling. Okay? All right? This requires Mike to be in solo counseling. Why do I say that? The issues that he has, okay? The issues that he has, all right? Okay, sorry. That's what I said. The issues that Mike has in this situation is that for him, okay, he has an emotional problem that shows up as financial issues. Mike spends all that money because he feels inadequate, and because he's chasing freedom, and because he has not worked out the emotional wounds within himself, he's going to keep spending money. Not only that, because he feels inadequate because she earns double the amount, because obviously she pays the rent, and because he has culture, all of this play a role. This ain't going to be solved by them two coming in. This is going to be solved when he comes in alone. He has to come in and do some self-work, right? Because the reason why he's spending that money isn't because of his partner. He's not trying to get back at his partner. The issues is because you have deep emotional wounds. So let's break it down as to what's really going on in this scenario. Okay, all right. Let's look at this situation.
Veg.
I think my thing is consistently, impulsively buying things that are not necessarily expensive, but over time
They mount up.
Yes, and that's what it is. It's buying the takeaways. Sometimes I'm spending anywhere from £50 to £100 every other day.
Now, why is he impulsively buying stuff? Again, it's got nothing to do with his partner, which is why I'm saying to the partner, this situation isn't going to be solved by couples therapy. The reason why he buys things impulsively is because whenever he gets a feeling of inadequacy, whenever he gets a feeling of not feeling good enough, self-worth, self-esteem, whenever he gets a feeling that he doesn't feel too good, instead of facing the feeling, he's learned to run away. He grew up in poverty, and when you grow up in poverty and you don't have, you feel restricted and you feel controlled. When he grew up and had a bit more money, he used money as a way of freedom. So now when he spends, he feels free. The problem is that he overspends because he's not recognizing that spending money is an emotional sport. The impulsive spending is coming from him trying to run away from that feeling. So whenever he feels some kind of inadequacy or some negative emotions, he has not got an emotional regulation down to a T yet. So he uses money and spending as a way of regulate himself, right? An example of this will be, you got anger issues, so you start punching a bag. That's the way you regulate yourself. And in this situation, Mike doesn't have a punching bag. His punching bag is that he uses card and overspends. Now the question will be then, why doesn't he stop at that point? Because he has not recognized that the emotional leaks that he has, the fact that he hasn't dealt with the emotional issues, is going to keep driving him to a place of destruction. He can't stop because he doesn't want to face the real issue, which is him, and the fact that he had a bad life when he grew up financially, and the fact that in that growing up, he felt restricted. Until someone starts getting into the psyche of Mike, this ain't going to change. He going to keep on doing what he's doing. The feeling, the feeling of not having is so restrictive. The feeling of not having is scary. The feeling of not having is also tied to self-worth. Okay? So every time so people like him, they don't look at their bank account. No. If they looked at their bank account, they might actually start making some changes. They don't look at their bank account. They just know that the money is low and they keep spending and spending. Then they get a little message that says you've run out of money. And then they open up a credit card, right? Because again, they don't want to be told no. Because they were told no a lot as a child. He needs to do individual therapy. Without that, there is no amount of we work together. And I say this because we may not see it as serious, but financial infidelity is a destructive thing. When I say financial infidelity, somebody who is focused on making sure that financially they're always cheating. You set a budget, they cheat it. You set them a limit, they cheat it. You set them, say, hey, look, this is how much we can spend this week, they cheat it. Any kind of thing like that, they will cheat it. So with him, he needs to learn, right, that whenever that feeling comes up of inadequacy, he has to be able to reflect inwardly and say, wait, hold on, where's that coming from? And why is that coming up? Why is that emotion and that thought process coming up for me? Why do I feel like I'm inadequate right now? You see, your body's trying to tell you something. Your mind is trying to tell you something. We want to go somewhere new. We want to elevate ourselves. And so what the mind will do is, if for us to get to the next level, we need to challenge ourselves on this level and pass the test. And the test is, Can you look at yourself and go, do you know what? I know I'm about to spend money on this, but the reason why I'm spending money is because I want to feel better about myself. But I need another way to make myself feel better. In fact, this feeling that I'm feeling will pass away in the next few moments. Right? I know this because dealing with silent anger within myself, I had to recognize that anger comes for a moment, it sits, and then it passes. Emotions come, they sit, and it passes. But what people don't recognize is, what people may not be aware of is, when you are uncomfortable with being uncomfortable, you will do something to stop being uncomfortable. Let me give an example. When I get on a plane, okay, I get on a plane and I'm in economy now. Sometimes I get uncomfortable. And then I remember, I don't have the finances to keep buying first class. So sit in the uncomfortability. But imagine you have money now to spend, right? Okay. And you recognize that you feel uncomfortable. What do? You spend the money and you upgrade. Now that's okay because you have money to spend. But when you don't have money, but you're uncomfortable with being uncomfortable and you're unwilling to sit, you will spend money that you shouldn't spend money. It's why people overspend and their budgets get blown out the water and they don't have enough money by the end of the month to pay their rent. This is why. It is your willingness to not be uncomfortable. You don't want to feel uncomfortable. You don't believe you deserve to be uncomfortable. Why should I feel that way as I felt as a kid? It's traumatic. I get it. Okay, I understand. All right, I get it. In that space. Okay. Let's see some other things. Okay, so let's
conversations very early on, and there's never a time where I don't feel safe. So it was just like, why am I going to waste time with anyone else if I can see I've got a good thing?
Now, what I love, though, is that Yasmin did say she felt safe with him. So he does the emotional aspect. He does very, very well. He's able to keep her safe. He's able to make sure that, you know what, she's taken care of emotionally to a degree, of course. And that's a positive. That's a good thing. That means we've got something to build upon. Because if he wasn't emotionally safe and spending money, we got a big problem. Okay. And so when they end up talking about the amounts that they spend,
I'm a teacher.
And what about you, Mike?
I'm a business banking manager.
In terms of income, do you earn basically the same, or is there a difference?
Definitely not. She earns twice as much as me.
Twice as much?
Yeah.
Is that an issue?
I might.
And so of her earning twice as much, you obviously know that she pays 70% of the rent. And I know that does a hard on him. So I think what ends up happening for Mike is, you know, that feeling of not being enough, you know, it goes away, and then he'll remember he's not paying the rent. You know, every month is a reminder he's not paying the rent. And then do you know what he does? He self-sabotages. So instead of, right, recognizing, okay, do you know what? I see it, I hear it. Maybe I can grow from this scenario. He goes, no, I don't believe I'm worthy of her paying the rent, 70% of the rent, and I'm not pulling my weight. So he starts self-sabotaging by spending money. I know it sounds wild, but self-sabotaging never really makes sense. It's the opposite of what you should be doing, right? You want love, so why do you self-sabotage? You know, you love your partner, so why sabotage? That's the whole point of self-sabotage. It's to do the opposite of what you really want. And so instead of just embracing the fact that your woman is going to take more of a financial load, right? And you embracing that and receiving that love, he goes, I don't feel worthy of it. I don't feel respected. I don't feel like I'm good enough to receive this. So I need to break it. Okay, I need to break it. And so that breaking is him overspending. He'll spend 7, 8. And then when she talks to him like this,
I just don't like being talked to like I'm a child. I don't talk about my debt because I know I'll get a reaction like this.
This isn't from the debt. This is from the fact that you've let it snowball. I've made bad.
He don't like being spoken to like a child, but it's the very same thing he believes he deserves. So the very behavior he'll do will elicit that response, and he doesn't like that response. But the reality is, when you have feelings of inadequacy, you expect that to happen, and then when it does happen, right, it also is the exact same thing. That you're like, well, why can't you just understand? But it's like, bro, you know what you did, and you know it's going to cause a reaction. The reaction happens, and you're like, why are we doing that? Why are you coming at me like that? Why are you correcting me? Why are you being so stern? And it's like, bro, you know exactly why. Right? But that's what inadequacy will do to you. It's self-loathing. I love that. Right? So he needs to work on that. And that's individual. That cannot be solved by the therapist.
But I've been made redundant. And it's been 2 months. It's embarrassing to say, but literally I'll dress up like I'm going to work.
Sorry, what I mean by solved by the therapist, it cannot be solved in a couple, because it needs to be him that needs to have one-to-one. But yeah, okay, him lying about the job situation, man. I mean, it's only compounding the issue here around debt, and now he has no job. And this is the kind of things that happen to people. You know what's interesting is that this story is very real. Right? As I've coached enough couples, you know, women have come across these situations, and I get it. He was afraid of being. He was afraid of losing. He was afraid that when he lost his job again, it would speak to the lack of value that he might have. Okay, he might feel like it speaks to a lack of esteem that he might have. It might speak to the feeling of not being enough. So I actually understood why he didn't go and tell her straight away. Even men who seem to have better self-esteem struggle with losing a job and telling their wives. So it's understandable. The problem is that he has a debt problem. And the debts are even piling up more because he's even spending. Right? He's spending. So this behavior from the gentleman, okay, this behavior from the gentleman doesn't seem out of place for him to lie about the job. Now, do I think he's trying to hurt her? No. Do I think he's trying to, do I feel like he wants to destroy his family? No. But the reality is your habits are destroying your relationship. Okay? Your habits are destroying your relationship. And until you're ready to confront you and say no more and stop burying your head in the sand, because the reality is you're burying your head in the sand. Someone like Mike, he's burying his head in the sand. And I love what someone said, self-loathing, that you know, almost like, oh, woe is me. Until you're ready to face it, that's the first part. Number two, we need to put some things in place. What are those things we need to put in place? We need to start actually saying, you're going to have a budget. Right? You're going to have a budget. And we're going to put you on a budget, and you're going to send the rest of the money to me, Yasmin. Right? And I say this because, look, let me be honest with you, financial infidelity is a very dangerous thing for men and for women. Okay? So what I'm saying to you is financial infidelity is a massive thing. Number one, I even skipped a step here. Number one, financial education needs to happen. He needs to commit himself to say he's willing to undergo financial education, basic financial education of how to budget his finances every month. That's what he needs to commit to, number one. Number two, within that, he then needs to set aside a ratio of finances that he sends to Yasmin for the meantime. We can work out a budget where you get disposable income and you can play a little bit, but the rest of the money that needs to get paid for essential bills must leave your account. Okay, right? Whether it's auto pay or whatever. And then also him coming into therapy, he's come alone. And he needs to work out those kinks of shame and those kinks of not being good enough from his childhood. Okay? So this is very important. Okay? All right? Again, you're right. Listen, he don't want to listen to everybody. And that's why I said, if he doesn't agree to this is financial infidelity. Me personally, the door is there. Look, I know what the Bible says that, divorce and cheating, but cheating can be financial too, right? Somebody who doesn't know how to financially budget and will keep on spending is cheating on you. They are, right? They are, whether they do it on purpose or not, they are dragging you down. Okay? And they will drag you to hell for filth. So for me personally, release them. Release them. I don't play until you've dated somebody who has bad financial thing, you don't realize how dangerous it is. I haven't even had that deep of an experience, but just having a joint account with somebody for a minute or two, and the person kept on taking their money out of their account. They haven't taken mine yet, but their own money. I said, "Whoa, what's gonna happen when you don't have no money to take out no more? All the money you put in, you're taking it back out again." I said, "Ooh, ooh, 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 ooh. Whoa, 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 whoa." I said, no, this person's dangerous. You ain't paid your rent? Oh, this is dangerous. No. People, so when you start seeing that, you're going to suffer a long term. So when I say financial infidelity is a real thing, and I believe that it's divorceable, I mean it. Because you trying to hold it down the whole entire time, you will unalive in an early death trying to make sure that the ship stays afloat because they can't do their part. So you're dragging him and the kid. Oh, come on. I'm sorry. So if he doesn't want to commit to a budget, he doesn't want to commit to valuable solutions to make this better, then without that, we can't move forward. We have to release him. You're not even married, so you can release him. Okay? All right? Someone said, do you think he's had any consequences? That's why he's so reckless. There are consequences. The credit card companies come after you, don't kind of thing. It's not that, but what needs to happen is for him to people like him, they need to stop burying their head in the sand. But number two, the biggest issue is also that they have no education in this area. Whereas somebody else sees it as whereas we see it as common sense, he will not see it that way. So he needs to go and do some educational financial education in just budgeting so that he can start looking at the numbers. People like him don't look at numbers. They just look at spend. They know they get paid this amount of money at the end of the year, end of the month, and they spend until it goes no more. They don't really look at their bank sheet. They don't. You know what I mean? So yeah, if he's not going to commit to also personal therapy as well, sis, leave him where he at. Leave him where he at. There's no need to go forward. He's a liar about his debt and he's a liar about his job. And my thing is this, whilst I understand it, when people are in that space, they are a dangerous person to you. Okay? Not because you might not be unalived, but because emotionally they will finish you. Every single time there'll be an excuse as to why they didn't do X, Y, and Z. But you know me, I don't want to hurt you. I just can't help myself. If every time your excuse is going to be, I can't help myself, you're a dangerous person. This is what I mean by that. Okay. All right. Let's look at the last couple then. Okay. All right. Victor and Maria. Let's talk about them. Okay. All right. Let's talk about them. Runaway love. Okay, Victor and Maria. Okay, it takes two to tango. Both of them are liars. Straight up, I'm gonna tell you the truth now. Both of them are Decepticons and deceptive, and they're both liars. Say it straight. Okay, both of them are liars, deceivers, and Decepticons. Okay, first and foremost, he lied about the promise ring. You downright know it was a promise ring, and you knew that she would take it as a promise ring, and you were trying to shut her up. You lied. And you tried to pretend as if you didn't lie. Okay? You lied. So you're a liar. It's just that simple. Okay? She started giving money to her family. Okay? All right? She started giving money to her family. All right? And saying that she was paying off a car. She's a liar and a Decepticon just like him. They're both liars. Okay, they're both liars. Because why are we sending money to the family and not telling each other? You're a liar too. Okay. All right. Now, I do want to touch on something. Okay. Again, something that the therapist did, which I didn't like.
Two things.
This thing
Not the
here.
money, though, is
It's
it?
about the lie. You're keeping something from me for so long.
So it's about the betrayal of trust.
Absolutely.
Isn't it being torn between the two things that she loves the most? You and her family.
Now, it was edited, so I hope this was an edited statement, right? But when someone gets caught in a lie, for us to say, almost like, and again, it might be, it was edited, so I want to be very cautious. But for us to say, you know, you can understand because, you know, she was torn between her family and you, is bollocks. Anytime, listen, I gotta be real with you. If you start that lane, it's a very dangerous thing. Okay, let's stop that nonsense. Like the therapist saying, you know, it's symbolic. There's nothing symbolic. She's a liar, and he's a liar. Let's not do any symbolisms. You're liars, and of course we can understand why someone's lying, but call a thing first. Call it what. Don't try to soften the blow by saying, well, you can understand why. When you start doing that, what you start doing is you start advocating for them not to be accountable for the behaviors. Right? You lied, and you need to be accountable for the lie. We understand. Now you can tell us a reason, but first and foremost, admit that you've lied. Let's come to that conclusion first. Should you lie or not? No. Okay. Well, now you know you've lied. Stop lying. There's no good reason why you're lying. And admit it. Same for him. It doesn't matter if he felt like her feelings were important and he was scared to lose her. You not being true, tell the truth. Because now you're a liar. Because now you're out here saying, I did it because, you know, I want you were happy. You're a liar. And I'm saying that because what you don't want to do is softball behaviors like this. I'm saying it from my perspective, as somebody who's a liar, has been a liar before. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm no longer a liar, but I got some lying tendencies in me, you know? Whether you call it people pleasing or not, I got some lying tendencies in me. And until you start, if you don't start being hot on it, what ends up happening is it becomes, well, I did it because, I'm doing it because, I'm doing it because, I'm doing it because, and I'm doing it because, and we're going to be in a very dangerous position whenever you're doing it because. So be honest with yourself. This isn't the truth. Let me tell the truth. Okay? And it's on both sides, by the way. Okay? On both sides. In that space as well. Okay? Okay, so Maria, I understand why. I understand her feelings. She wants to be married. She wants to be taken care of. She wants to be in a committed relationship that is betrothed through covenant. I totally get it. But sis, we are what, 7 years in? 5 years? 5 years in? Sis, we are 5 years in. Okay? He doesn't want marriage. You do. It's time to walk. Yeah. It's time to walk. 7 years in. I was right the first time. Thank you. You can't compromise on what you want. So the fact that she's compromising on this tells us she compromises on other things as well. Okay? You've been together for 7 years and you haven't had the marriage. There's no beef. It's just it's time to walk. Time to walk. Right? And in that scenario, right, they come from two different worlds, right, in terms of what their goal is. Right? They have two different objectives in life. That's all. It's not, they're incompatible, but not in a bad way. It's just a case of like, she wants marriage, he does not. And she wants to keep believing in the fairy tale. She wants to be delusional. And he wants her to keep being delusional. Because so long as both of them play their part, aren't you happy? I'm happy. Are you happy? I'm happy. When really and truly, you're not happy. Right? He's not happy, really and truly, because you have to keep on pretending as if you actually really care. Sorry, not care, but you have to keep on pushing away marriage and kind of sidelining it. And she's not happy because she's not getting the marriage that she actually wants. And her family are on her neck. Yeah? Family on the neck. Okay. So he said, obviously, there's no reason to get married. It's true. There is no reason for him to get married. What is the reason for him to get married? He didn't say anything wrong. What is the reason for them to get married? He didn't say anything wrong. I don't agree with him, but he didn't say anything wrong. What is the reason to get married? What for? What more is it going to prove? No, you have to deep it. You come from two different worlds. So really and truly, people who want to get married don't have a conversation about why they want to get married. People just get married because they love each other, right? They want to be committed. But really and truly, when you have two incompatible viewpoints and they ask you that, what is the reason for why you want to get married? What will change? I had to agree with him there. Like, what will change? Will you love me more? No. Would I love you more? No. What will change? Aside the legal aspect, relationship-wise, because legally they will change. Like, she'll get, you know what I mean? Just the safety that comes into that. And I agree with that. By the way, I agree with marriage, by the way. Just saying. What will change? Nothing. Right? Yes, they already live and work together. So what will change? Right? So right now, it just seems like you just want something for the sake of wanting it because we already do it already. And that's the problem. That's the problem. Right? So both see the situation as I'm not blaming either of them. I'm just stating what each person's doing. Like, there's no reason for any of these people to be in a relationship because she wants it, he doesn't want it. Right? She's unwilling to walk away because she wants it, and he's unwilling to walk away because he doesn't want it. He needs a reason as to why marriage will be a beneficial forward. And the reasoning for him as to why he's not going forward is an emotional issue. The reality is he's not very close to his family. His family, they're separated. I don't know what's going on there. I only watched episode 1, but something's going on with him, and he feels like marriage only further, it brings problems and it actually brings solutions. I'm sure when we go deeper to him, he'll probably expose the fact that marriage doesn't bring benefits, it brings further problems. So why get married? That's number one. Number two is he don't want to get married because the you is silent. He don't want to get married because the you is silent. Now, the only way to know this is to put it on him and say, either we're getting married or we go our separate way. Or she says, I'm going my way, and we see what he does. But really and truly, the you is normally silent. He don't like you enough. No offense. No offense. He don't like you enough. And sometimes that's just the case. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's just the case, that the you is silent. You're good, but you know what? Can't be. So I think for him, he's coming from a very dismissive, avoidant perspective where he's saying, look, people don't understand me, and because they don't understand me, it's very difficult, right? The only person that he actually wants is Maria. He does say he only wants Maria, okay? In a scenario, right? But the reality of the situation is, right? Reality of the situation is when you see when you see Victor and Maria, you've got this avoidant, anxious cycle, right? He pulls away emotionally, she chases. It's a very addictive cycle for the two of them, right? And because of that cycle, right? Because of that cycle, she's getting rewarded by chasing him and collecting him. I promise you. Until Maria is ready to say, I no longer want to do this, bro. Okay? I no longer want to do this. I want to get off the ride, right? She gonna stay there because there is a benefit for her staying there. She doesn't have to deal with being alone. Right? He doesn't have to deal with being alone. Right? So this is going to be a stalemate until someone decides, I'm no longer interested in this situation. I'm no longer okay with what we are receiving in this relationship. But again, he's winning because he still gets what he wants. He never wanted a marriage. So why would he go? This is why it doesn't work the same way. It's not equally weighted. Someone could say, why not leave her? Why should he? I'm just saying I agree, he should leave her, but why would he? And this is why I'm saying this for us as people. Don't let somebody waste your time, bro. If you know you want marriage, they don't want marriage. They're going to waste your time. They don't want marriage. They don't want to be locked down. So it doesn't matter for them. But for you, it matters, because every second, a minute, an hour you're wasting by being in a relationship with somebody who doesn't, sorry, apologies about that, guys, who don't want to be in that situation, you're wasting your time. You know, you're wasting your time. You know, so you gotta get out there, you know, before you get stuck in there. You feel me? But yeah, I think that I'm gonna be real with you, okay? Old girl thinks she hit the jackpot with Victor. I ain't gonna hold you, okay? She ain't trying to release that brother, okay? She feels like she hit the jackpot with Victor. She does not want to leave that man. Her family are pushing it, saying, you know, you want to get married, but does she even really want to get married? Does she really want to get married? Or is it because she wants to make her family happy? If that's you know what I mean? What reason do you really want to get married? Because you've been in there for 7 years, not because you believe it was going to change, but because obviously you knew that you wanted to stay to see maybe you could change him. But 2, also sometimes you don't really want it. You're just trying to make your family happy, but maybe you don't really want it. Maybe you're not really that interested in having a marriage. So she needs to go and do some work alone and figure out, does she really want marriage herself? Or is this something that her family are very much interested in, and she's afraid of the shame and embarrassment of not being married? Because, baby girl, you're already shacking up. You're already shacking up. Doesn't make you wear that. You know what I mean? Okay. Well, listen, my time is up, man. This was a quick, meant to be a breakdown of the episode 1, and you know, I think I can't wait to go a little bit more deeper, because of course episode 2, 3, and 4 also very important as well. Okay. But I want you to know that, listen, don't let someone waste your time. Make sure you're able to tell the truth. What is it that you require and what you actually want? Stop pretending that you want something when you don't want something when you do. If you want it, go for it. Okay. All right. I appreciate you guys. Stay locked and loaded. We'll see you again very, very soon. Much love, much appreciation.